I'm not ready. Oh, we're ready. So, okay. Let's go here. So, we're going to do the usual. We have a couple of topics prepared today while I play a game. And usually the games I play are just Dave Defeat, Source, and Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. But feel free to chime in and make comments while I go here, because I'm going to be going at it for a while with these two topics. So the first topic will be a moral case for abolishing civil rights laws, the philosophical and ethical exploration, and then I'll be talking about how that relates to the non-aggression principle. So that's kind of how I do things. I prepare essays while I just play a game. I don't do political commentary. I just talk about either objectivism, objective epistemology, anarcho-capitalism, and I use moral defense for those. Always. So it's the same procedure. Okay, so let me get into the game here. Switch. Are we ready? There we go. I usually like to play here on this server, the EU Fast Path community. That's a decent server. It's good. What I like about it is that if you spawn and you're inactive in the spawn, the AI will take control of your player and start playing for you until you take control of it. So it's pretty good. I like it. So I can just kind of sit here and talk. If I don't feel like playing, I can just let the AI. Oh, there we go. Server is full. Sorry. Let's try again. Let's try to connect. Usually you can connect pretty good. Usually the player will, who's in spectators will be kicked, because you can't sit there in spectators very long. Usually you can't remain in spectator idle, and they'll kick you. So we'll get once we get into the game and play a little bit. I'm warmed up. Been warmed up all day. We'll get into the topics. And there we go. Let's see what maps they have here. All right. Let's see if my voice is sounding okay. Good. I want to make sure. Oh, there's okay. So we got the game and the voice. Excellent. Okay, welcome, one and all. And we are playing Avalanche. Hey, that's interesting, because the Weimar is full. I gotta be the allies. Okay. This is Avalanche map, and I'm actually making a total conversion of this map for Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. Hey, look, there's it open. I made that same thing right there. Cool. And it looks just like that. So we can go this way. Let me go through the stairs, because I made the stairs. There, the stairs, just like this. You go through the exit. And you can jump off the top here, and it doesn't matter. So I'm the allies this time. Last time I was the Weimar. Oh no. Okay. Spawn. There's a lot of furniture in here. Door frames. Oh. Okay, so we jump off here. Can't. Oh, there's some more buildings behind there. Shit. I mean, I gotta deny those. Hello there. Whoa. Okay, back off. Damn. How's everybody doing tonight anyway? It's Friday night here in Japan, and the Weimar won again. Nice. I used to play the Weimar. I guess I'll play the allies. You can spawn here too. If you can't hear the audio of the game, just let me know. There's the flag. Whoa. So he does get hurt, and that will take you over to the church. Okay. Can I? Oh, I better go upstairs. I think I can overlook the access. Oh, I told you they were right there. Like I said, I'm just going to play for a little bit first before I get in the topics. It's going to be a long one. So I want to make sure I'm in the right frame of mind. This game will help me. Right frame of mind. Okay, that just goes around that way. Was that? Okay. I'm waiting for my teammate. Wow. Oh my goodness. Someone in the church tower? Nope. Okay. Alrighty. So I know where to put the spawn entities in here in the top layer. Right there. It's not going to be exact. You swear. Damn it. I didn't even get him. Time left. How many Weimar is only one match. One round. There's just too many details here. This game can handle it. Return to Castle Wolfenstein enemy territory can handle all this. It's gonna be bare bones map like this. See, there's more houses back here. You could just put a few, not too much. You'll get too cluttered. It won't be able to handle it. You have too many triangles. Okay. Area secure. Oh, I got somebody with the grenade. Jesus. Welcome all to the stream. Welcome to the show. We'll be getting to our topics in a few minutes here before I gotta warm up here. So I usually like to, I prepare something and then I'll just play these two games, my favorite games. Dave Defeat Source and Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. I like to play these games, these old ones, because they're easy to load. Some people came, some people left, that's fine. Where should I go here? There's a nice ladder. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even notice that. We only spawn here. We don't spawn up there. So there'd be no... oh, you can see it's not... The texture didn't quite hit the bottom of the window there. Didn't quite get there. A little space there. But we don't spawn up there. Okay. So there's no reason to put a window up there. You can just put the window here and jump up and go up the ladder. Let's go up the ladder. Whee! Freeman. That leads us to this area. And he's, I don't know where the hell. Oh, I know where this ends up. Okay. Ah, good God. No. Oh, come on. I didn't get anybody with my grenade. Okay. Actually, we'll kind of wait till this round ends. It might end very soon, because the Weimar is usually pretty strong in this map. The building goes all the way around there. And we have... I didn't even see what I was doing. No, that just curls around. I want to go back that way. Objective secure. What? It's really hard to get headshots in this. Vote for map on Anzui. Anzio. It's a shame I don't know the names of the maps. I recognize the maps, but I don't remember the names. The only one I know most of is this one, Avalanche. They're just gonna go right for that flag and whoa! Why? He got me anyway. Can't blame it. Okay, they got those. So that's the end of that round. So I'm gonna let the bot thing play my character while I read a little bit of this, and we'll get into it a little bit, or discuss, read. I don't know. I got some notes here. So what was the topic? Is the moral case? We're going to make a moral defense, why it's morally just to abolish, we should be abolishing civil rights laws, and this will be talking about a philosophical and ethical exploration. So remember, please remember, if you comment on this, keep it as a moral, philosophical defense. Don't bring up anything else outside the flow, okay? We're talking about philosophy or nothing else. Do not bring up anything like euthanasia or war, genocide, or any of that stuff. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about today. We're going to keep it to the flow, and if you get out of the flow, I'll just kick you. Because I really don't want to get distracted with other things. We need to focus on one thing, and it's important that we focus on this one idea. It doesn't matter what idea we're focused on, as long as you just focus on one. There's a couple of famous Japanese kotowaza. And kotowaza are like sayings or expressions that contain some kind of philosophical knowledge or helpful value to your life. And there's a couple of them that talk about focusing on one topic or one thing, or being devoted to one idea, to be single-minded. And that's what we're going to be today, folks. We're going to be single-minded for this topic. We're going to keep it the moral and philosophical issue. So the first kotowaza I want to share with you is the Ishinfuron. They won again. Dominant. I wasn't even playing. The guys playing. Ishinfuron. Waki memo furazu. Hitotsu no koto o shūchū suru to. Okay, so what that means is that you focus. Shūchū suru means to focus. Hitotsu no koto means to focus. That means one thing. Hitotsu, one. So hitotsu no koto o shūchū suru. So you focus on just one thing, and that's what we're doing. Waki memo furazu. Hitotsu no koto o shūchū suru. Okay, the other one is ichi senshin, which means the way and how you focus on one idea. So it would be waki memo furazu. Tada hitotsu no koto o kokoro o shūchū suru. Kokoro means mind. Okay, and that means help your mind focus. And it's how you focus on this idea. And the reason I'm doing this, I'm sharing this with you, folks, is that when I've done this in the past and I had a topic to talk about, people just divagate and obfuscate and start mentioning things that have nothing to do with the moral or philosophical defense of what I'm talking about. I got into the debate with a guy last week, and he just divagated to other things that had nothing to do with the statement. So this is going to be a moral case for abolishing the civil rights. And that's why I wanted to share with you the Japanese thing. And I should read those each time. So you remember that. Stay with the flow. I know it's a bit autistic. I don't give a shit. So here we go. A moral case for abolishing civil rights, a philosophical and ethical exploration. Now, the people were talking about this before the Civil Rights Acts were put into place. People like Ayn Rand. She talked about the negative aspect of that and how it would violate private property rights, or in fact destroy private property rights. So we'll get into that. So here we go. So in my introduction, I talk about, we know about the civil rights laws, right? Particularly the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
You should go back and read Ayn Rand's essays in 1963, pre-1964, and the warnings he and other people gave about this. Okay. So it represented this sort of pivotal moment, I guess, in the history of America. So it was enacted to combat systematic discrimination based on reason, race, color. Isn't that the same thing? Reason, religion, sex, national origin. Isn't that race? That seems kind of redundant. Race, color, national origin, ethnic. That's all kind of race. So the act prohibited segregation in public accommodations, banned employment discrimination under Title VII, and it aimed to ensure equal access to voting and education. Okay, or maximizing the opportunities for voting. How about that instead? Okay, we start getting it. Let's keep it here. So we know the background behind this. Remember, the Jim Crow laws were forced segregation. But then now the civil rights laws come around, and it's the other side of the authoritarian coin, not the corn. Well, there are cornfields. People were out there doing stuff, and they're living bodies out there. But that's another story. We won't get into that. So the other side of the authoritarian coin was forced integration. That's what I'm here arguing against it, because it's morally unjust. It's ethically unjust that you have to force, instead of just passing a no policy, they decided to place one policy with another. So essentially, this is authoritarian, coercive, and it does, to a degree, violate the non-aggression principle of forced integration. So, okay, so we know that. So while these laws, as we were talking about, the laws were born out of moral imperative to address injustice of the Jim Crow era, we know segregation, forced segregation, and institutionalized racism, a growing body of philosophical and ethical arguments suggests that abolishing them could be morally justifiable in a modern context. Absolutely. In the critical race theories, I don't think if they want to abolish civil rights, they criticized the civil rights there that it wasn't enough, it wasn't aggressive enough, it wasn't more coercive. So that was kind of their argument, was a little bit different. But this argument here, we'll talk about. So we're going to really draw upon like libertarian perspectives that emphasize the individual liberty, of course, freedom of association, that's important, freedom of association, and freedom of disassociation, and the limits of government coercion. I don't want any limits on government coercion. I want to just really abolish government coercion. So let me clarify that. Proponents will, of course, contend that such laws, though well-intentioned, infringe on core moral principles. Remember, that's the hitotsu no koto, shuchu suru, moral principles of voluntary interaction. Remember, we talked about Friday, and we talked about Robinson Crusoe, voluntary interaction and personal autonomy. Right? Personal autonomy. My mind, my body, my money, my choice. Potentially leading to greater societal harmony through market-driven and consensual change rather than state-enforced mandates. So we know the government has a monopoly on violence and security. We know all governments do this. Doesn't matter what the government is, they all do this. And this is just another version, civil rights is another version of state-enforced mandates, which violates the non-aggression principle. So we're going to examine all these claims, and we're going to assess, or maybe come to the conclusion, I've already come to the conclusion, rather repeal might align with the higher ethical standard of not freedoms, we're not in the freezer yet, freedom and non-aggression. So non-aggression principle, I'll get to the non-aggression principle at the end here. It's great, the AI is just playing. I'm not playing at all, hands-free. And so, yeah, we want that's why we're focusing on this ethical and moral issue point of view, because you want to value liberty over equality. So just remember, this is very important, okay? Like I said, keep it the focus. 集中する。ただ一つのことを集中するぞ。Moral dimensions, okay? Nothing else. Okay, moral dimensions of abolishing civil rights laws, particularly as they apply to private entities, the individual, me. Again, my mind, my body, my choice, my money. Okay? But critics of repeal, and we might highlight a little bit of those, but I think we know what those are going to be. Highlight the historical necessity of these laws. Well, of course they do, because they're statists. They want a strong, centrally planned government to enforce these moral laws because they think that's the only way you can protect human rights is through a strong, centrally command state. Well, if the 20th century is any gauge of, quote, governments protecting human rights, they have a really bad track record, don't they? These big governments, these communist, socialist governments, didn't really protect human rights at all, did they? Yeah, they violated it. So to depend on a government criminal organization that has a monopoly on violence and coercion is just ridiculous. It's just, it's like, what in the wild world of logic are people thinking that they would prefer a government monopoly on these protections? But yet you're against the oligarchy. It doesn't make any sense. And we're going to get to that too. Definitely get to that. So there is no necessity, but of course they're going to argue it. They're going to argue necessity for these laws, dismantling government-backed discrimination. Yeah, we want to dismantle government. But the arguments for abolition rest on the premise that true morality cannot be legislated through force. Exactly. True. Let me see that again, just in case there are people out there that want to start divagating and arguing something else. This is the most important moral point. That advocate that the society with ethical so true morality cannot be legislated through force. That's right. Robinson Crusoe and Friday. Go back and read that book again, because I think people just misunderstood what that was all about. Instead, we'll advocate for a society where the ethical behavior emerges organically. It's an emergent feature because these John Lockean natural laws exist outside human consciousness. They're universal, they're objective, they're always there. So this behavior will emerge naturally from those laws that are already in place, and we follow those laws. We don't need a third party criminal mafia organization called the government. And it will, like I said, it will organically grow individually from the choices and social pressures. That's right. And if you see that before the civil rights laws, this was already happening. Society, it was emerging organically. These individual choices and social pressures were already emerging before government passed those authoritarian coercive laws in '64. But the government just said, hey, we want a monopoly on that security, so we'll take it. So we'll make it a federal mandate all across the state. So things are already getting better. And there's a historical precedent for this too, because according to, I think it was Charles Murray in his book, not Getting Libertarianism Right, his book about libertarianism, he shows how every time when things are bad in society, people start to kind of organically, individually choose and put pressure on things, and before government comes in. Then when the government comes in and gets that monopoly on something, it destroys it. It makes it worse. And we have a historical precedent for that every time that's happened, in America anyway, that things start getting better without government, then the government steps in, touches it, and it turns to shit. Every time. And read the book about libertarianism by Charles Murray. He's got great graphs showing this same repeated pattern over and over again. Everything the government touches turns to shit. So we'll get into the principle of the freedom of association, right, and disassociation as a moral imperative. Remember the moral. We're sticking to the moral argument. Okay. So I'm going to get control of my character now. He's been playing by himself too much. He has too much autonomy. No, I'm a good guy. Okay, what's happening here? A piano. Okay, I got him with the Thompson. Wine bottles. Cut around here. Ah, how can I miss that guy? So we'll get into that in just a minute. Let me play a little bit. I need to cool my mouth down a little bit. And let me have my iced coffee, too. I mean, this is how I do things. You know, I like to prepare a little essay or talking subject. And these subjects I'm going to continue to talk about like this because I think it's important to talk about and get educated about maybe we can find better solutions than just what we've been taught as the only solution. What's this? The map ended. Okay, so they were changing maps? Okay, so what are we doing? What map are we playing now? What's that Avalanche again? We just played that one. Okay. Here we go. Can I be the Weimar? Oh, yay. I'm a Weimar. Los, los. Mash, mash. Whoa, lag. Volksgemeinschaft. Okay. This map is more spread out than Avalanche. Always, I swear, every time at this time, 9 p.m., this map comes up. Speaking of pattern recognition, this would be one of them. This every time. I don't know. It must be. It's not even a rotation. I don't think. Where did that grenade come from? Well, I know where that bullet came from. Some guy from the Soviet Union. Let me. What is this? Oh, again, something from Kick. I'm trying to get my hours up on Kick so I can be monetized and stuff. So I can start getting some subs. Let's get some subs, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, let's go. Big support. You don't want me to start begging for subs, do you? No. Okay. Let me play a little bit, and then we'll get into the meat of it. Principle of freedom of association and disassociation. You see people having a problem with that, especially women in their single-sex spaces. Boy, that's a good example of that, if that isn't one. It's like women, they're not entitled to freedom of association or disassociation in like rape crisis centers or prisons or any other safe space. No, they're not entitled to that. No, screw them. I mean, that's pretty much the sentiment of the blue gang, the Democratic Party. They're just like really not on board with this freedom of association is dead in the country. And I'll get to a big counter argument too. I'll let you know about a country that doesn't have civil rights laws at all, and they are pretty good with their morals and ethics. There, they didn't turn into some German National Socialist government. Let's grow. Let me play a couple more. Well, thanks for coming out and joining us here. I'll get back to the meat of the topic here in a minute. I just want to play a little bit now. Join my Friday night, and then I'll get to the moral imperative here. Categorical imperative. Weimar. Come on, Deutsch Volk. Okay, we got some white nationalists here. The Allies are fighting the pan-Germanic people. Okay, now I'm gonna play one more, and then I'm gonna let the robot play for me. Man, I wish I could put all these details in the Radiant into Return to Castle Wolfenstein enemy territory, but you can't. It'd be too much. Oh, there's a guy in there. Oh, I got him. I got King Arthur. No! He's supposed to unite the kingdom. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. Yeah. That's not going to be good for anybody. Okay, let's let the robot... Let's get to the heart of this. Here, okay, so back to what we're talking about here in the focus. is freedom of association, and I'll be arguing as a moral imperative. Okay, so at the heart of this moral case for abolishing civil rights laws lies the most important principle that America doesn't have anymore: freedom of association or disassociation. This is a foundational ethical right, that posits individuals should be free to choose their associates without government interference. Let me read that one more time, just in case there are a few people that understand this still. It's a foundational ethical right that posits individuals should be free to choose their associates without government interference. Absolutely. Like women are free to choose to associate with other women in single-sex spaces. Right? Do you not understand this? They have a right to single-sex spaces. Period. If you don't agree with this, then I guess you don't really like liberty then. You're not really into liberty. I'm just going to guess you're not in liberty at all. You're against liberty. I'm for liberty. So, again, libertarian thinkers like myself, I'm going to argue that laws like Title II of the Civil Rights Act, which prohibit discrimination in private businesses, such as restaurants and hotels, violate this right by compelling owners to engage in transactions against their will. Exactly. That's why it's morally wrong, morally disgusting civil rights laws, because it violates this right by compelling owners to engage in transactions against their will. You're compelling women to engage with men in dresses against their will. Okay? Is this clear enough? This is coercion. And it's seen not merely as a practical inconvenience, but a profound moral wrong, akin to forcing personal relationships and friendships. That's right. So yes, I will defend a man or woman's right to freely associate in single-sex spaces based on this. Because what they're doing to the men and women is coercive. It's forcing them. It's compelling them against their will, against their autonomy, against their own mind, into relationships and friendships they wouldn't normally do. Okay, is that not clear enough? Some people still are ambiguous about this. You know, if you want to, like the private spaces, sex spaces, single sex spaces, if you want to solve that, that's easy. Penises go in the penis room, and vaginas go in the vagina room. There. It has to be a real vagina, not a vagioplasty, not a fake anus. It's what it is anyway. Yeah. So there you go. Problem solved. Well, at least until next Wednesday. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this guy, Richard Epstein. He's a prominent legal scholar. So he goes and articulates that on his debate on repealing Title VII, which addresses employment discrimination, he contends that anti-discrimination laws treat refusals to hire or served based on protected characteristics as equivalent to acts of force or fraud, which they are not. In a free society, Epstein argues, you need not enter into a mass of contracts to keep the enemy at bay, but only one or a few contracts to sell your labor to some willing employer. Okay, to sell your labor to some self-willing employer. Okay, that's his quote. So now, forcing associations, forcing men in dresses, or forcing women to associate men in dresses in a single-sex space undermines the moral autonomy of the individual, reducing them to instruments of state policy rather than sovereign agents. Can this not be clear how immoral this is? And it was easy to solve this problem about the men in dresses, the autogynephilax and women's and the men's restrooms or locker rooms or rape crisis centers. If they just said, argue it from this moral stance like we're doing here. And you make your case. You make this case strong. You said the government, the state and local governments are forcing associations And these associations undermines the moral autonomy of the individual, reducing them to instruments of state policy rather than sovereign agents. Yeah, you're not sovereign. You don't have a mind of your own. Remember, it's my mind, my body, my money, my choice. So Epstein, he goes further, emphasizes that even if societal consensus favors anti-distributive norms, I don't care what the consensus says. I don't really care. This offers, if anything, an additional reason for the repeal. That's right. The majority is not right. To hell with the majority. Okay, the majority. Here's the argument. I'm going to make the argument for the majority, just for funsies, right? 92% of Austrians voted for the NSDAP, the National Socialist Arbeit Party. Was that moral? Was that morally just? Yeah, you tell me. 92% of Austrians voted for the NSDAP. They thought Hitler's idea and his socialism was great, so they voted for it. So is that moral? That's why the hell with the consensus. I don't care, because things are not decided. Morals are not decided by fiat. They're not decided by some government. Okay? These morals exist outside our consciousness. Okay? So they're not arbitrary. They're not arbitrary choices decided by as fiat or fiat, even fiat currency. It's not decided by this. So as a true moral progress should stem for voluntary persuasion, not compulsion. This is why I'm against mass immigration too, because that's forced integration. You don't like to be forced integrate, huh, comrade? Well, too bad for you. Welcome to multiculturalism. We'll force it down your throat. But the consensus, 92% of people agree that the NSDAP was the greatest socialist program in the world. Yeah, how did that turn out for the Austrians? Not too good, did it? So you tell me if it's decided by a majority vote, the morals, or fiat, or some arbitrary whim. It's not decided by that. And we go even further. Hey, Ron Paul. So similarly, Ron Paul has echoed this sentiment. Remember that, expressing concerns during his 2010 campaign that the Civil Rights Acts diminishes individual liberty by intruding on private property. And Rand also made this argument. She talked about how this intruded on private property back in 1963, before they enacted this authoritarian forced integration into people. So it was already warning, and people were warning it, but they didn't listen. The government says, hey, I want a monopoly on security. Give me, gobble, gobble, gobble. So the government decides they can eat it up. We're gonna want more monopoly, more. We're greedy. So Ron Paul continues. He stresses his personal revulsion towards racism, but argued that government should not dictate private business decisions. Private business being the individual mind. Free thought, thinking, rationalism is an asset of human thought, an individual thought. Free thought is a corollary to a free market, and a free market is a corollary to free thought. And that's the ethical standpoint. This view, along with the deontological principles, where the morality of an action is judged by adherence to rules like the non-aggression principle and consent. Abolishing these laws would restore, yes it would, moral agency to individuals. You want to stop the insanity of the autogodophiliacs forcing their way into women's private spaces? Abolish the civil rights laws. That'll solve it real quick. Because why are they so interested in going to the women's spaces? Because that's where the women are. It's just like a bank robber when he robs a bank. He robs a bank because that's where the money is. So the autogodophilics want to be in the women's single space because that's where the women are. They get to have fun with them in a bad way, allowing them to spurn all of those whose inclinations are hostile to your own welfare. Yes, autogodophilics are hateful men in dresses who are hostile to women's own welfare. It cannot be clear enough. And there should be no fear with state reprisals either. So in this framework, discrimination, while potentially immoral on a personal level, is not just justification for state violence. The government monopoly on violence in the form of fines or shutdowns. Instead, it should be countered through social ostracism and boycotts. Hey, we can solve this without the gang. We can solve this without the criminal organization, the government. We can solve this without its monopoly on security. And people were solving this before the civil rights laws were acted. But the government came in and decided, hey, we'll give you an offer you can't refuse. And they destroyed everything, destroyed private property rights and destroyed freedom of association. So we want to preserve, this is the point, the ethical point, we want to preserve voluntarism. So now we're gonna get into the next part here. There's more, ladies and gentlemen. Individual liberty and the ethics of private property rights. So again, we're sticking with the morals and ethics and nothing else, okay? Okay. Waki memo furazu. Hitotsu no koto ni kokoro o. That's right, kokoro shuchu suru. Kokoro is brain, is mind. Kokoro o shuchu suru means focus. So we're focusing on one thing. Please do not get out of focus. And remember, our orientation and our fealty is to reality and no man or no majority vote or no government. I'll buy that for $1. So, I'm going to play a little bit. I take out my I need to take up my flags. I haven't gotten a flag yet. There we go. We need one more comradens. Marsch, marsch. Deutschland, Deutschland. Anybody know how to sing the Hans Wessel Lied? I don't even know the words of that one either. Why am I singing that? I don't know. I am Weimach. So why not? Sing their national anthem. It's fun to sing. I'm a musician. I like singing and playing instruments, so it's just my natural inclination. I don't care what you think. Call me a German National Socialist. I don't care. Although my grandfather's aunt, she was Austrian, and she lived in Austria during the fun times. We have letters from the 20s, 30s, and 40s from her. But the odd thing is, I have no idea what her political ideology was. I have no idea. She never said anything about it. So it's just, I have no idea. But they had my Austrian-Hungarian ancestry. They were really in the Habsburg, the monarchy. They looked like they were really into it. They had the jackets with the medals, you know, and they looked like kings and everything. So they're really in the monarchy. So maybe, I don't know. I have no idea. I can't talk to her. She's not alive anymore. It's too bad. I would love to have a chat with her. All right, Kameraden, let's capture the territory. There we go. Volksgemeinschaft. Hey, haystacks. There are no cows. Didn't get a double kill. Okay, let me play one more time, and then I'll let the robot do, and I'll keep reading. So far, if you want to go back and listen to some, or you have any questions about what we said, I think it's pretty clear. I think it's very clear what's happening here. I know people don't want to pretend. They want to pretend like it's not clear. They always want to moral eschew everything and be all in, you know, tacit morality and all this mealy-mouthed pragmatist nonsense, and try to pretend like there's nuance and it's complicated. No, it isn't complicated. Objective epistemology is pretty straightforward. I mean, there's some portions of it, the philosophy, that's a little difficult. You kind of have to read a little bit, but it's pretty spot on. It's a damn good philosophy. If you want a good framework to work from objectivism. Oops. Okay. Now I will continue. Susume. Go. I'll speak Japanese sometimes just to wake my audience up and wake me up. Okay, so now we're going to get into the ethics of property rights here. So one of the things that's closely tied to freedom of association, of course, is the broader moral defense of individual liberty and property rights. Yeah. As you can see, democracy, demos kratos, is completely antithetical to liberty. In case you hadn't noticed the pattern there, it's not really keen on liberty. So I cherish liberty, and freedom is why I hate democracy. Very simple. I'll take liberty over equality any day of the week. And I can make a moral defense and say that it's more preferable in equality. I mean, heck, just walk into a music class. You see disparity and equality all the time. So yeah, it's preferable to live. It's preferable to have. Yeah, inequality is preferable. Equality is just immoral. Try to force that shit. It's fucking immoral. So the moral defense here of liberty and private civil rights laws, by regulating how private property is, the private property, the mind, the free thought, your self-ownership, that's what we're talking about, that's private property, isn't it? Is used such as whom a business owner must serve or hire, are viewed as unethical, of course, expropriation of personal dominion. My mind, my body, my money, my choice. Libertarians posit that property rights are not merely common, but moral extensions of self-ownership. Forcing a banker to serve all customers, for instance, is ethically equivalent to compelling labor, which echoes historical injustice like slavery. Yep, you create slaves, debtor slaves. You're in debt to somebody else who's a non-productive member of the society. People, when they talk about, is human rights, what they are saying, what they really mean is that we're entitled to your money that you created. That individual creates the wealth. Wealth is not something that exists in an extra-dimensional being statically. It is something that's created. That's what it means to make money. So we have to make money, right? The dollar, as the currency of a free country, is a symbol of free trade and therefore of a free mind. A collectivist ownership of the means of production denotes the collective ownership of a person's mind, which denotes the death of man. It cannot be more clear that socialism is an evil religion. You can go back and quote me on that if you like to. I don't care. Because yes, socialism is a religion that's motivated by hatred, enmity, and envy between groups. And the primary motivation of socialism is envy. Because someone is better than you, someone is higher than you, so I need to bring them down. And the producer who produced something, oh, they're evil. They must have stolen that or exploited the laborers to get that. So I have envy and hatred to the producers. And yes, socialism is a religion because all socialists believe in the second coming of socialism. If socialists actually read the theory, they would understand that a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there once existed a socialist utopian empire until the evil Jewish capitalists destroyed that socialist empire. And now we're trying to wait. We're trying to get that to happen again. Like the second coming of Jesus, they're expecting the second coming of socialism. But the only difference is that you are God. God doesn't exist. They want to eliminate God because God is competition. It is a competitor to socialism. The only God is you. The power of the will. Your idealist, fanatical worldview. You're going to power to the will into existence. And yes, socialism is idealistic. Those are the kind of people that are always attracted to socialism, are idealists and fanatics. And they're going to believe that the second coming is just around the corner. I can see it like Jesus. the second coming of socialism. It'll be the great awakening. We'll achieve the ultimate democracy, communism, comrade. And that's what they believe, too. And to continue on here. So yeah, we're talking about slavery. Speaking of slavery. So Epstein goes on here. He extends this to employment. So arguing that Title VII, it does. It imposes a huge tax on us all through bureaucratic overreach. Yes, the monopoly we're talking about. Bureaucratic overreach. You know, last time I checked, Walmart doesn't do this. They don't do this to me. There's no bureaucratic overreach in Walmart. When I walk into Walmart, I don't have to pay a gratuity. Do I? I can walk in, look around, and leave anytime I want. I'm not forced to do anything when I walk into Walmart. But a government, they take my money. They take a gratuity out of my check through force. And these people that work in the bureaucracy are just non-productive members of the society. They're worthless. And so this bureaucratic overreach, I continue here, creating an enormous political risk of further government intrusions. Yes, I know, it's a domino effect. This keeps going. Morally, this paternalism insults capable individuals from protecting groups by implying they cannot make it on their own. I know, without state aid. Yes, they can. Undermining their dignity and ethical self-reliance. Let me read that again. Morally, this paternalism insults capable individuals, like me, from protected groups by implying they cannot make it on their own without state aid, undermining their dignity and ethical self-reliance. Now, Ron Paul, he has a similar critique for the act for prioritizing collective equality over individual freedom, noting that while he supports banning government-supported segregation, extending this to private spheres crosses the ethical line. Exactly. If you abolish forced segregation, you should abolish forced integration. Okay, comrade? They're both sides of the same authoritarian coin. I keep saying corn, but I mean coin. But you get the idea. So let me finish up here and I'll play some more. Okay, so from a consequentialist ethical lens, abolishing these laws could enhance overall liberty. That's right, by preventing the slippery slope of government expansion. And we all know how successful these big governments were in the 20th century at protecting human rights. It was wonderful what they did. It was great. No, it wasn't. It was horrific. The government, the criminal organizations, these gigantic monopolies, these government monopolies, created monsters that were greater than any monster you see in a movie. And nothing good. I mean, even our like Battle of Independence, the quote government didn't protect our rights until like the 1920s, like especially like the First Amendment. So yeah, governments are great. They have a great track record of protecting our human rights. No, they don't. They have a horrific record of doing it. And their idea of equality under the law is a joke. It's completely inconsistent. It's all done by the discretion based on arbitrary whims of a judge. So like, for example, Judge Kavanaugh almost got assassinated. So the assassinator should have got 40 years for attempted assassination. Oh, but he identified as trans. Oh, that changes everything. You get 8 months. See, that was up to the arbitrary whim of a judge. His discretion decided, he only gets 8 months. If it was justice was really blind, that guy should have got the death penalty. But unfortunately, justice is not blind. There's no equality under the law. It's a complete joke. It's completely inconsistent. And it's all left to the arbitrary whims and discretion of a judge. They'll either use equality as a gauge or they'll use natural laws as a gauge. So it just depends how they feel. So yeah, that's so much for blind justice. So yes, and there's another guy too, Christopher Rufo. He framed the Civil Rights Act as a fundamental infringement on civil liberties, absolutely, and freedom of association. Yeah, so we're looking at you, Democrat Party. Do you support the freedom of association of a woman in a single-sex space, or don't you? Because it doesn't seem like they support freedom of association. They enforce compulsion and forced integration into women against their will. Yeah, great party, huh? Yeah, Democratic, the blue gang is nothing but a bunch of gangs and thugs. Pathological sociopaths, degenerates. So he goes on, and so the repeal would realign society with moral principles of minimal state intervention. I don't want minimal state intervention. I should have corrected. I mean, no state intervention, period. No, should be no minimum. Because if it's a minimal state, it will still grow into something big anyway. So if you take back the government to where it was a minarchist, it's still going to grow to the same what it is today. The problem is fundamental in the system itself, a democracy. That's what's the problem. Democracies create demagogues and oligarchs. Oligarchy and demagoguery is a feature of democracy. Demos kratos, mob rule. Just like oligarchy is a feature of democracy. So yes, so no state intervention. This perspective holds that true moral behavior, such as non-discrimination, must arise from internal conviction, your self-interest, self-esteem, not external force, fostering genuine ethical growth rather than a resentment. Yeah, that's the problem with socialism. It always creates resentment. Socialism always creates hatred between groups. That's what its motivation is too. Capitalism is motivated by laziness. Because you want to be more efficient and productive, you create something with your free thought to make it more efficient and productive. Profit comes later. The effect on society, that's secondary, that comes later. But socialism, its primary motive is envy and hatred. It has to be. What do they hate? They hate the Jewish bourgeois. They hate Jewish capitalism. And yes, all socialists are anti-Semitic. So okay. Now we're moving from that rant. We'll go into the market efficiency now. We made the moral, and the market efficiency, of course, we're going to continue with this, staking with the 1 point, moral mechanism for justice. Moral mechanism for justice. Don't forget that. And I'm trying to get my justice here with my MP. How long are we going here? Okay. Now we're cool. I want to switch over to Wolfenstein Enemy Territory in a minute here. Then I'll get to the end. My other topic that I prepared is the non-aggression principle, because it's all related. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if we can... Well, we need to capture the other three. I'll capture this one. Double kill. I'm glad they don't have that voiceover in this game. Be kind of annoying. Let's get another one. Yay. Oh, no. Okay. Damn, this coffee sure is good. I don't know what it is. Now it tastes like water. All my ice melted in it. Now it tastes like water coffee. Ice cold water coffee. No coffee is left. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So this other moral argument here for abolishing, we draw on the economic philosophies now, particularly the idea of free markets. Remember what I said about a free market? Free thought is a corollary to free market. Free market is a corollary to free thought. Free thought, again, my mind, my body, my money, my choice. Okay, so the free market will, and we talked about this last time, penalize immoral behaviors. It'll automatically do this. Free market is a self-correcting system. It'll penalize the irrational actors. They'll face consequences, and they'll be taken out of the monetary market. Goodbye. So the free market will definitely naturally penalize immoral behaviors like discrimination, rendering laws redundant and ethically burdensome. Yeah, exactly. Drawing on economists, and we're going to talk about Gary Becker's work, Epstein argues that in competitive markets, with free entry, discriminatory practices lead to inefficiencies. How about that? Without government interference, it'll lead to inefficiencies, such as higher costs for bigoted firms, exactly, which competition erodes over time, exactly. Why don't I go shop there? Morally, this self-correction promotes justice without coercion. I like that. Justice without coercion. Opening up the economy for real. And he goes and he says he predicts that certain paradoxes like that trouble a great many people will be resolved in a coherent fashion. Government, incoherent. Personal liberty, voluntary trade, coherent. Ethically, relying on markets honors human agency by allowing consumers and workers to vote with their feet. Exactly. Boycotting discriminatory business and rewarding inclusive ones. Now, in a minute here, I'm going to tell you about a country that has no civil rights laws, and it's a pretty damn good country. You might want to take a guess what it is, but it's pretty damn good. It's good at doing what they're saying here. This voluntary process is morally superior to state mandate. Absolutely. As it avoids the ethical pitfalls of legislating morality. You cannot legislate morality. That is evil. That is immoral. That is wrong. If you think you can mandate morality, then who mandates you? Who are you, Mr. Statesman, that have chosen the higher moral path? Remember, this goes back to what I said earlier. What did I say earlier? Oh, it was about, the laws are not, the moral laws I was talking about are not decided by fiat or majority vote. Screw the consensus. Okay, so, and so this voluntary process, right, is morally superior to state mandates as it avoids the ethical pitfalls. Okay, legislating morality, which can backfire by entrenching divisions. Oh, of course, yeah, that's what socialism always does. It entrenches those divisions. Absolutely. Libertarian forums, if you're so inclined to go there, echo this, knowing that civil rights laws are necessary to protect rights of classes of people because all people already have the same rights. Exactly. It's already there. I told you, it's universal, kids. It's already there. If you don't understand it and you think laws are arbitrary and they're decided by fiat and they're decided by majority vote, you're mistaken. And never forget, also, the most important axiom you take away from all these dreams, your orientation and fealty is to reality. It's not to a man, to a government, or to a law. The reality exists there. Existence exists. So anyway, that's right. Let me read that again. Legislating majority. Okay. Okay. So noting that, remember, that civil rights laws are unnecessary to protect the rights of classes of people because all people already have the same rights. And government intervention distorts or destroys this natural moral equilibrium. Abolition would thus morally empower individuals to drive change, which was already happening before the civil rights. Remember the March on Washington? That was before the civil rights laws. So it was already doing this. Individuals were already doing this by the state. And if you just let it, and so many people were against this forced integration. Because it's like, hey, whoa, we should go slow it down. So abolition would thus morally empower individuals to drive change, aligning with the virtues where character is built through free choices rather than impulse rules. So now we're going to get into the government, the God overreach, and the moral hazards of coercion. Yeah. We've been kind of going over that anyway, but we'll continue to go over that in any case. Still lots to go, kids. Okay. So this would be the kind of the final end of this, and then I'll take a little break. I'll switch games, and then we'll talk about the non-aggression principle a little bit more, how that relates to this. 脇目も振らず、ただ一つのことに心を集中するです。一戦心は I think it's ichi wa, and that means to focus on one thing, devoting focus to one thing. And then after that, I'm trying to remember the kotowaza here. It's kenkyu, research, kenkyu o mushikomu. Like devote to research. One thing, single minded. Okay, so now we go. So now we hit the final stretch here. We got to get the final stretch. We've been going for over an hour about this, which is good. So finally, the moral case against civil rights highlights the ethical dangers of government overreach. Absolutely. And you've gotten the government so damn huge. You've created the biggest, most dangerous government the world has ever seen. And it has a monopoly on all kinds of stuff. It has a monopoly on counterfeiting money, fiduciary media. It can print money wherever it wants. Mafia can't, but the government can. But hold on there, Eric. If the government does, that's more legitimate because, one man, one vote, and anyone can run for office. That doesn't make it legitimate. Okay, so by enforcing anti-discrimination through government colossus, yeah, I know, the criminal organization we call the government, these laws risk inverting morality. Absolutely, it definitely inverts the morality. You see what is happening today. As seen as affirmative action, ooh, that's a racist program. Affirmative action and DEI, those are based on race. That's based on the idea of Rosin and Volk. I like these guys that favor, that are proponents of affirmative action, but they turn around and call themselves colorblind. Wait a minute, hold on. At the heart of affirmative action DIA is rosin, is race. So how can he be colorblind? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. How do you reconcile that contradiction, Mr. I'm a centrist, blah, 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 blah. I'm a centrist, doopy, 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 doo. I'm a pragmatist, da, 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 da. I'm colorblind, but you can't be colorblind and support a clearly racist, racially conscious policy called affirmative action, the DI, that promote overt and institutional discrimination. Of course they do. In favor of protecting classes while prohibiting others. Yeah, right, prohibiting others, right, exactly. That's really shows this ugly head even today. This creates inconsistent ethical hierarchy, that's what I just said, where the state arbitrarily decides things on a whim. Whim worshippers, which biases are permissible, undermining moral neutrality. Yes, your bias is permissible. See how evil this stuff is, man? This stuff is evil beyond evil. I thought German National Socialism was dead. I thought the whole idea of racial consciousness was gone. I thought you defeated that evil Hitler guy, and that's right, it didn't. The critical race theory and the cultural Marxists just took this idea of race and gave it an international flavor, because they too believe that the way, like Hitler, to destroy the West was through race. Hitler said, well, to destroy the Jew, we do that through race, not religion. And the cultural Marxists, hey, we'll invert Hitler's idea and say, we'll make it about international. We'll figure out a way to destroy the West. And if the Jews are collateral damage, I guess that's okay for them. But through race as well. So yeah, you think the cultural Marxists didn't get a little idea from Hitler there? Hell yeah, they did. They just took what he did and inverted it. Because if you read Mein Kampf, which I know probably half the audience doesn't, if you read that chapter 11, Rosin and Volk, and then read critical race theory, you're going to find a very deja vu tinge going on there. Wait a minute. These guys are racially conscious too. Oh, what are they doing here? Yeah, same shit, different mustache. So Epstein continues here. Epstein warns of the very, very weak evidence that the laws improve outcomes. And it didn't, too. 10 years after the civil rights laws were passed, we saw It didn't work. And there was people that studied it before it was enacted and said, hey, wait a minute, we're warning you, this isn't going to work. This is going to make things worse. And sure enough, the studies proved it. And these people were not venerated. They were completely vindicated. They were vindicated about their studies, saying, yeah, you were right. It ruined everything. It made things worse. And it did improve outcomes, suggested that imposing unnecessary moral costs like reduced wage growth, oh, that's nice, and resource misallocation. Yeah, you get resources, but you, the outside victim group, you don't get anything. We've determined, the moral arbiters, the gods of the government have determined who the victims are in this victim circle, in victimology, but there's other people that aren't included in it, so they don't get anything. Yeah, see what... In a broader sense, abolishing them would prevent the moral corruption of power. Exactly. And you got sociopaths, pathological sociopaths who run the damn country. That's what democracy attracts. It attracts these degenerate, pathological sociopaths who want to exploit your resources and money. Good God, you can't see that? You can't see the forest for the trees? Are you serious? They could come in, first 100 days, they exploit your resources. They're worse than a corporation. Corporations don't exploit the laborers. The governments exploit the laborers. By increasing minimum wage, they exploit the laborers. They exploit the resources and the money. And somehow you think government is more legitimate than Walmart? You're nuts. You're insane. What kind of wild world of logic is that when you oppose one form of a monopoly, but you vote for another monopoly, which is worse, 10 times worse? So in a broader sense, abolishing, we cover that, libertarian, and so as a criticism, libertarian critiques me of the acts of expansion into areas like DEI mandates, say we just talked about that, morally, a limited government that only prohibits force and fraud respects human dignity by treating citizens as ethical equals. But I don't believe in limit. I'm not a minarchist because I understand that minarchism will eventually lead back into what we're in today. So just abolish. I'm an anarcho-capitalist. So I'm not a minarchist. And okay, so we treat citizens. We'll treat them as equals. Well, okay, all right. I mean, actually, I don't. I should have changed that a little bit because when I teach a guitar class of like 20 kids, 20 students, they're all different. So I can't treat them as equal. It's impossible because I have to treat them as unequal because some people are faster than others. Some people are faster learners. They have bigger memory capacity than others. Some are just better players. Maybe they're better at tone and articulation. Maybe they're better at learning pieces. So I can't treat them all as equal. I can just treat them as, okay, at the beginning of the class, you're all equal. You all have A's. But at the end of the class, there's like B's, D's, and F's, and A's. You know, it's all, that's what the reality is. So, okay. So let me finish up here. So again, I'm finishing up. So the moral case, again, for abolishing civil rights laws rests on principled commitments to freedom of association, individual liberty, market-driven justice, and no government. Thinkers like Epstein and Paul argue that these laws, while historically vital, now represent an unethical overreach that stifles voluntary moral progress. By repealing them, society could foster a more authentic ethical landscape where tolerance emerges from choice, not coercion. This perspective, here we're talking about, challenges us to envision a world where morality is not enforced by law, but embedded in free human interactions, which there is the moral law, John Lockean natural laws, potentially leading to deeper, more sustainable society. Ultimately, whether abolition is morally right depends on one's weighing of liberty. Okay, we already talked about that. So, yeah, we want more ethical purity, as they say. So that's it. I finished that up. So now, before we get to the next topic, if you have any questions, Phil, drop it in here. But remember, keep it in the moral context, okay? And the philosophical. Don't divagate. Don't start Tell me about, in 1506, there was a war between the hoop pipes and the flip flops, and they were doing things your way, but they all killed themselves. I don't want to hear that. Keep it to what the topic is. Waki memo furazu, tada hitotsu no koto ni kokoro o shuchuu suru desu. Never forget that kotowaza. There's two of them, actually. They're very similar. One is about focusing, and then one is the way of focusing. Let's go, Weimar. Okay. So now I'm going to get to Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, and then we'll go to the next topic, which will be a moral defense of the non-aggression principle. And that's related to what we're talking about. I needed to cover this for a little bit because some people are still confused by this. So I'll get that straightened out as soon as I get my... Let me shift gears here, and let's go to Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. Hey, what are you doing there, buddy? Okay. Nap. Time for a nap. Actually, I'm not. I'm really going here. So, we'll start to tone it down a little bit, wither it down. We're on to I think there's over our second hour, I think. Yeah, we're getting up to 10:30. We're almost 10 o'clock right now, so 30 minutes to go. I think we can cover this in 30 minutes. I hope so. All right, let's go play some Wolfenstein Enemy Territory a little bit. Again, it'll be the Allies versus the Axis. Doopy-doopy-doo. Okay, so mods, Legacy mod. Hey, you can come and join me in Wolfenstein Enemy Territory on Friday nights. So you can play along. It's a free game, free to download, and it's fun. It's for a little bit. It gets kind of boring after an hour, but it is fun enough to play. Kind of unwind, just to play something. It's kind of arcadey in a way, kind of game, but it offers a little more depth than just a standard arcade game. Same map again at the same time. This nighttime map. Same map again. Every time the rotation. I don't know what it is. Let's get to the game. Okay. So who's here tonight? Oh, I get to be the Weimach again. I think it says access, but okay. I got my MP40 again. Oh, I'm a medic. I'll revive you. Oh, Zulu. Okay. So let me kind of get into the game a little bit, and then I'll go over to the next topic. I just kind of transition smoothly. Oh, there. Dankasha. Danka. Dankasha. Objective taken. Objective return. Yes, I can pick up a big metal box like this and just stick it in me pocket. Come get your food. Danka. You notice that you don't see my gun here, right? You can enable no draw. Yeah, you do it in the menu, and just click no draw gun, and you don't see your gun. I like it this way because all I see is the red dot in the middle of the screen. It's better for headshots. So yeah, try to get rid of as much clutter as you can on the screen, the UI. Uh-oh. Dynamite planted. See, we get to plant dynamite in this game. Oh, we can plant dynamite in the other one, too. Okay. Let me... Oh! Here's a covert ops. Objective taken. Dankeschön. Dynamite. Oh, boy. Where is the guy? Did he leave already? Does he still have it? No. Well, look at all those deaths. All right. Yeah. Leave me alone. Whoops. Objective taken. No hope. He dropped it. He's a bot. All right. Whoa, boy, landmines. Huh? Whoa. Okay, Herbie. Two more times, and then I'll try to play and talk. This one, it doesn't automatically turn you into a robot, so you have to play, or you go on spectators. But I don't want. I want to play. Okay, Golden Eye. This has a lot of buildings, but it's not as detailed and as big as. Not as square buildings. Yeah, not as detailed as the Day of Defeat building. These are just square buildings. Okay. Let me see if this guy picks me up. Oh, he did. Okay, great. We're out of luck. Oh. Oh, they won. Okay. So now we're switching maps so I can talk a little bit now. Supply depot. Okay. So, the non-aggression principle. A moral defense. Remember again, non-aggression principle. So, the NAP. It does stand as a cornerstone of our libertarian ethics. We assert that no individual group may initiate force or the threat of force against another person's life, liberty, or property. Okay, threat of force. Charlie Kirk. How many Democrats, tens of thousands of Democrats, celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk and wanted threat of force to kill his wife and kids? Tens of thousands of them. Do you want to live with these people? I don't. And so because they violated non-aggression principle, says here, the threat of force, they're initiating the threat of force against Charlie Kirk's wife and kids. Since they initiated the force, they need to be physically removed from the country. You advocate violence and assassination, and then you say threat of force, we're going to shoot the wife and kids. Well, you need to be physically removed from the country. Take your citizenship away and drop you off in a forest. You're a threat. You're an existential threat. It's very clear. It's a very easy solution to do. And there's no compromise with these people, especially the people, all the tens of thousands, and all Democrats too, that are advocating. They're teachers, professors. These are various professionals and professional jobs. Some not so much, and they were celebrating the death of this guy and encouraging more threats against his wife and kids and other people of the similar political persuasion as he is. All doing this, they all get fired from their jobs, but they show no remorse for what they did. Not a single one of them said, "Oh, I'm sorry." No, and they just kept going. They got fired. Whatever. Who cares? I'll come back later. Yeah. So there's people. This is a threat of force they're advocating for, and therefore they violate the non-aggression principle, and therefore they need to be physically removed from the country. Period. There's no compromise. You can't compromise with people that show no remorse for what they said. And that will just encourage more people to go out and shoot. So they use threat of violence. Hey, boop. I got to get some headshots in here. So the threat of force against another person's life, liberty, or property, except in the case of self-defense or defense of others. Aha. Okay. Yeah, self-defense. So it, like someone brought up last week about Friday and Crusoe. Crusoe, oh my God, he's evil Jewish capitalist. He stole all the water. Friday's going to go and kill Crusoe. Well, guess what Crusoe's going to do? Defend himself. So yeah, you have a right to self-defense. If you feel your life is in threat and you want to defend yourself, go right ahead. This principle, often encapsulated as the prohibition of aggression, defines aggression not merely as a physical violence, but as any uninvited interference with another person, uninvited interference with another person or justly acquired possessions. We talked about this last time in homesteading. There it is right there. It couldn't be more clear. It defines aggression not merely as physical violence, but as any uninvited interference with another person or justly acquired possessions, like the other guy, water, including fraud as a form of implicit theft. Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty clear. So unlike pacifism or absolute nonviolence, The NAP permits retaliatory force. So my retaliatory force against the people that were advocating to shoot Charlie Kirk's wife and children will be to physically remove them from the country. Drop them off in the woods. Let them fend for themselves with the wolves and the bears. You violated non-aggression principle. Bye. You're a threat, existential threat to all of us. And there's another thing I think about the people that bragged about the killing of Charlie Kirk and advocating the threat to his wife and children.
Think about the other tens of thousands of Democrats that did not post on social media this idea of assassination is good. Think about all of them that didn't say anything, and they're out there thinking that. Yeah. Talk about paranoid. I know I've reached new levels of paranoia. It's like, well, I can't trust anybody now. I go to McDonald's to buy a damn Happy Meal. Am I standing next in line? Am I standing next to someone that wants to kill Charlie Kirk's wife and kids? Well, I don't know. They never posted anything online. They kept it themselves, or maybe told their friends. I don't know. Impossible to tell.
So who knows? No idea. So retaliatory force. Yes. When necessary to repel aggressor. That would be a way to repeal aggressor. Remove them from the country. Making it practical, ethical guideline rather than unattainable ideal. Right. It's very practical. So, okay, at its core, the NAP here is a moral axiom that promotes peaceful coexistence by establishing clear boundaries of individual sovereignty. Isn't that clear? The clear boundary. Single-sex spaces. These are clear boundaries. No penises in the vagina room and no vaginas in the penis room. Okay? Is it not clear? That's a clear boundary. So anyone that tries to argue that a guy in a dress wants to go into this boundary that's clearly marked for a woman, you tell that person to go off. And you're committing an act of aggression. And think about in a rape crisis center, too, how that works. You think these women want to see a guy walking around in a dress with an erection? Yeah, that's the last thing you want to see. So I'm going to defend here the NAP on moral grounds, arguing that is justified through foundations in natural rights, Lockean natural rights, we've done this before, and self-ownership, reinforced by philosophical arguments such as universality, can't even say that, and argumentation ethics. So, well, I don't know if we'll look at the criticism. I don't care about that. I know the criticisms are something about a ladder. I know that analogy. I've heard it before. So the NAP, I'm a NAP absolutist. Okay. So, I'll defend it to the teeth, to teeth and death. Okay. So, this is kind of a short one and we can finish off this one. So, okay. So the historical and philosophical foundations. So as you know, the NAP has roots in classical liberal thought. Remember, the classical liberals were the original anarchists, emerging from a long tradition of ideas emphasizing individual liberty and mutual non-interference. Precursors can be traced to real ancient philosophies too, like Hindu, Buddhism, Jain principle, non-injury, Epicurean view of justice as a pact against mutual harm, and Byzantine legal codes that obligated individuals to injure no one. So this goes back a long ways, has a good philosophical precedent here, but in the modern area here, it gained real prominence in the 17th century with things like John Locke, who posited that no one ought to harm another in their life, health, liberty, or possessions due to natural equality and independence. So this, of course, evolved later in the 19th century with individual anarchists like Benjamin Tucker, who advocated for the greatest amount of liberty compatible with equality and liberty. And in the 20th century, we talked about Ayn Rand, objectivism, and Murray Rothbard's anarcho-capitalism. Hey, that's me right there. I'm on board with that. Rand framed it as, no man may initiate the issue of physical force against others, tying it to rational self-interest, while Rothbard elevated it to even a central axiom, prohibiting aggression against person or property. Yep, those are boundaries. These are clear boundaries. There are single-sex spaces, and they have a right to single-sex spaces. That is a boundary. You cross not boundary. So it goes back to philosophically here. The NAP is grounded in the concept of self-ownership. My money, my blah, blah. I'm getting tired, but it's okay. It's my mind, my body, my money, my choice. Self-ownership. And my fealty and orientation is to reality, and no majority vote, no fiat government laws, no. Which asserts that individuals have exclusive rights over their own bodies, mind, and money, and fruits of their own labor. This self-ownership applies natural rights to property through homesteading. We talked about that last time, mixing one's labor with unowned resources, as per Locke and Rutherford. We talked about that, creating a moral barrier against non-consensual interference. You see how easy this would have done to protect a man or woman single-sex spaces? See how easy this would have been? If they just said this in the first place, instead of playing mealy-mouthed pragmatist and negotiator, this would not have happened. And if you abolish the civil rights laws, this would not have happened. You wouldn't get men in women's sports. You would get men in women's weight crisis centers. You wouldn't get any of this nonsense. And it's so easy to defend these boundaries here. It's so easy to do this. Creating a moral barrier against non-consensual interference. Okay, without self-ownership, individuals will be reduced to means of others' ends. That's right. My money, my choice, man. Violating, and so individuals who reduce the means of other means, you're a slave to someone else. Violating, of course, Kant, imperatives to treat persons as ends to themselves. The NAP thus serves as a logical extension of these rights, of course, ensuring that liberty is not merely a positive capacity to act, but a negative freedom. That's right, negative freedom from coercion. So we prefer negative freedom from coercion. And we can get to negative positive freedom later too, but so it aligns with the Herbert Spencer's law of equal freedom, where one's liberty ends where another begins, providing a symmetrical framework for ethical interactions. Okay, so okay, we're getting. Let's get to the more arguments here. From a deontological perspective here, the NAP functions as a side constraint on actions, prohibiting aggression regardless of potential outcomes. Some guy, Robert Nizick, Wright's theory, he views non-aggression as a duty derived from respecting persons as autonomous agents. Aggression intrudes on asymmetry. The aggressor claims superior rights over the victim, right? Yeah, think of the single-sex spaces, that definitely claims superior rights over the victim. In this case, it would be women, which Rothbard argues is inconsistent with universalizable ethical norms. Any rule allowing such asymmetry cannot apply equally to all. The universalizability ensures the NAP moral coercion, preventing special pleading for states or powerful individuals. And we can get into more of that later. How much do I have to go with this? Okay. I'm starting to wear down here. How much do they go here? Okay. So let's get this. Stop pushing me. Boy, these people sure are aggressive. They're violating on aggression. So Hans-Hermann Hoppe, his argumentation ethics offers a transcendental defense. Engaging in rational discourse presupposes a non-coercive context, as coercion contradicts the voluntary nature of argumentation, right? Right? So thus justifying aggression performatively contradicts itself, affirming the NAP as a prerequisite for ethical debate. And of course, Ayn Rand again provides an egoistic foundation, rational egoism, condemning aggression as parasitism that undermines independent living and the trader principle of voluntary exchange. Yeah, we've been talking about the trader principle for a long time. Okay. We're kind of getting a little redundant here. Let's see. I have what else did I have here? Aristotelian flourishing. Okay. It also the non-aggression protects the conditions for personal virtue and achievement. And morally, the NAP resonates with the common sense ethics. Like in daily life, people resolve disputes through persuasion, not force, and principle merely extends this to all spheres, including government. Yes. Okay, we've been talking about that to death. Dun, 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 dun. So let's conclude here. Okay, yeah, we got about 20 minutes left or so. Conclusion. So my conclusion here is the non-aggression principle offers a robust moral framework for human relations, defending through self-ownership again, natural rights, and philosophical rigor. It prohibits initiatory force, not out of dogmatism, but on safeguard of individual autonomy and promote voluntary cooperation, of course, leading to a just and prosperous society. While not exhaustive of all ethics, it focuses on prohibitions rather than positive duties. The NAP aligns with intuitive morality and withstands critiques by emphasizing realism, objectivism, restitution, and factual context. That's what we're dealing with here. In an era of expanding coercion, embracing the NAP morally empowers individuals to live as sovereign agents, fostering peace through mutual respect rather than dominance. By defending the NAP, I affirm here the dignity of every person as an end to themselves, paving way for true liberty. Okay. So that is it. Those are the two topics. And now I'm going to play. What map is this? I'm going to play for a little bit more. What is this guy doing? Is he okay? Is he Captain Janeway? He's got 256 ping. Whoa. I don't know who Captain Janeway is, but he's really annoying. And he's really... Whoops. Okay. Let me exit that out. Well, I'll probably keep it up there in case anybody has questions or anything. All right. How many you got here? So let me finish up the stream here, playing it another map here. Usually these maps take, yeah, this one's going to take 10 minutes. Probably the allies are going to win like always. And then whatever the next map is should finish off. These maps are usually kind of long here. I don't know what the rotation. Who cares? Let's play. Whoa. I'm not doing too. Huh? So they take the gold crate and then we'll take it to the truck, but they have to open the garage door. Yeah, they have to push this button in this room here. There's a button there. Yeah, the garager. Get out of the way, robot. Did I shut the door? I hope I shut the door. Ba-da-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum. Thank you. All right. And so my next stream, I hate talking about the schedule, but the next one's going to be Sunday in the morning, around 9 a.m. Japan time, and it will be a model build. I'm going to continue building my Gunpla models, Gundam Z. I'm continuing this series of Gundam Z. So it'll be a different model this Sunday compared to last week. I did the Yakushiki. That was a bit smaller model. Yeah, it was smaller in size. I was surprised. But this next one's going to be interesting and probably a little more difficult because it's a very unique character design. You'll see when you see it, and you can transform. And so that's going to be a difficult model to do. It's high grade, though. I haven't gotten to the master grade yet. Master grade kit is the more difficult, and perfect grade is even more difficult. And those perfect grade models are very expensive, too. Although I was able to find some relatively cheap ones, but they're mostly pretty expensive. And they're larger in size, too. So that kind of makes them easier to work with when they're bigger pieces. If the small ones like last week, oh boy, I have big fingers. My fingers are like sausage fingers. It's hard to grip the pieces. But you can go back and watch that stream, too. I struggled. It was a struggle. Ah. Yeah. Oh, we got 7 minutes. Yep. There you go. Fuel dump.
And that should finish off today. Because we're getting there. It's got about 10 more minutes or so. But I don't know. If you like me to hang around, let's get a sub or two. It doesn't have to be a lot. It's a couple, like 2 maybe, or 1 or 2. And super chat. Whatever. I'm not looking for a specific money line, just anything. If you want me to continue. Okay. Well, shouldn't yawn. That's a pretty good map. This one's not bad either. I like the layout of the caves in here. That's actually very easy to do, to make caves. Okay. So let's finish up with fuel dump. Oh, I know who Captain Janeway is. That's Invadetrons. He changed his name. Exciting, huh? Ah, what you doing there? Fixing the command post? This is just warm up. Who cares? Well, I hope you found today's stream informative, and don't forget to share it with others who are into this and would like to see more. I do it anyway. I'll have other stuff prepared for next time too. As always, I got plenty of stuff. So I'm just studying objective epistemology right now, and so I like to share my ideas of it, what I'm reading. Okay, got him. So we'll continue with that, and always a lot to talk about. Yep. Bridge constructed. Wow, they're going real super fast. They already constructed the bridge. Bridge reinforced. Okay, so there's 2 stages to that. He's planting dynamite there. You know why that guy can jump over the barbed wire fence? Because they have double jump enabled. So it's like low gravity. Yeah, they're inside already. They destroyed the tunnel grate. So they got access to here. Now they have to blow the gate. Oh, okay. I gotta fill up. If you'd like to know about anything else too, besides this non-topic too, my life in Japan here. Oh, I forgot about that. Glad I reminded myself. I can think of a country right off the bat of my head that has no civil rights laws, and they're perfectly fine without civil rights laws. Japan. Now, I've seen businesses like hot springs, onsen, where the sign will say no foreigners allowed. And then they'll have the other onsens when they're okay. It didn't matter. No tattoos. If you have tattoos, you can't go in. So you can imagine that the guy that says no foreigners allowed in there, he's not doing very good business. In fact, the guy next door to him that has a business and just anyone can come in, he can raise his prices if he wants to. And so he'll be, in a way, involuntarily, or consequentially, affecting the guy next to him, because won't be able to really compete, because people will start to go, hey, I'm going to go over this onsen here, hot spring, and they don't care who they, invite into the hot spring there. But the other guy who's saying no foreigners, he's not going to do very good business. He might just go out of business. Or, he might just change his business practices and realize, I'm not doing too well. I can't even raise my prices either. I need to raise my prices so I get surplus, so I can improve, service, and improve the, and do the maintenance, and do all the cleaning and everything at the onsen. So this is going to be bad for me. So maybe I should probably change my policy a little bit. So yeah, you see, it has a natural emergent consequence to the guy next door. So yeah, and we have freedom of association here in Japan. That's great. They're trying to, in places like Saitama and like Osaka, I think there's another place, they're trying to push the gender ideology garbage, but it's not working too well because freedom of association, they don't have these retarded civil rights laws there. So it's like, it doesn't quite work the same. There's people trying to break those boundaries, but it's just not quite working, and it's not really catching ground. And plus, the parents at schools, they're not too keen on this idea anyway, because the parents are really into the school because they believe like education is a right to kids, and so the parents are a little more invested in it because they know that their tax dollars are paying for this garbage. So they go to they want transparency. They want to know what's going on. Show me the textbooks. We want to see the textbooks. We want transparency. We don't know what's going on. We don't want stuff behind our backs. And so if they try to pull that gender ideology crap here, it's not going to work. The parents are going to be pissed off. So yeah, there you go, orangutan. So we're pretty good here. It's good here. I feel we have pretty good liberty here. Of course, there's other things they don't do very well as compared to America. But that one particular area they do very well at, and it's a fine country in that regards. So yeah, that's how I was going to mention the country. You probably guessed that already, but whatever. Good guess. Congratulations. All right. We're coming to the end here, folks. Yeah, I'm at my wit's end too. It's been a long night, been a long day. Long morning. Everything's been long about it. Friday here, 3-day weekend. We doing the Gundam Z series. That should be fun. Come into that, watch that. Let's go. That's what I say. Let's go. Hey, that's how I made my cave shape too. Just like that. Yeah, I'm on the right track. Yeah, it takes a long time to make these shapes. There's a couple of ways you can do that. How to make the cave shape like this. But no matter what, you have to shape the cave. And it takes a long time. Look how they made the same kind of shape too. That's how I kind of made mine too. It's very difficult. It takes a long time to shape it just right. That's why it always takes a long time to make games and maps for multiplayer. What the hell was that? Is that Zulu? No, it's not. I thought it was Zulu. All right. How far are the Allies gotten here? Let's check the command map. Not far. The tank is disabled. Oh, they planted dynamite. Huh? Planted at the command post. They're at the command post. In the same shape again. Now, it's funny. The outside of this cave is actually made with something else. It's like a mesh. But the inside is made with triangles. They use two different things. Yeah, it's made with the mesh. You can make a mesh like 11 by 11. And it'll form the perfect squares. And you can just click on the vertices and manipulate them. It's really easy to do, but it takes a heck of a long time to shape them. Who in the hell is shooting at me? I don't see who's... Look at... Why? I don't see where he's at. There he is. Ah. Got him. All right, got a couple of minutes. Counting down. I'll stay if I get a little support, like one sub or a super chat or something, or a donation. Just one. I'll stay. I'm not gonna leave if you do that. Da da dun da dun. Whoops. Okay. I don't think they've gotten in. I know they've gotten the spawn. What? Oh, okay. No, they haven't gotten in. Where's the tank? The tank is... Oh, it's moving through the tunnel. Okay. Is it? Yeah. Yeah, you can see the command map there. It's white.
Oh, it's just white. Okay. I made my green. Thanks for coming out, though. We constructed a commune. Okay. We're about ready to wind. Oh, I don't know who showed up. Some people showed up. Hope they enjoyed it. Hope they get to leave some comments and feedback and stuff. It takes effort to put that stuff together, and hope they appreciate it. I don't know. It's like, would you rather have? I know, like, some people just sit there and just talk in front of a camera and not do anything, or you like to would just play the game while you talk. I mean, some people like to look at your face. I don't want to make snazzy videos, It's just like, too many people do that. I mean, too many people do this too. There we go. Let's call it a night. It's 10:30.
We're out.
Okay, so we covered those two topics, and that was good. And then the next topic will be the we're gonna do the Gundam Z.
Gunpla. Tune in for that. 9 a.m., 9 or 10 a.m. Japanese morning.